Happy New Year! It's Aidan from Push Square here with the long-awaited top 10 games of 2022. Now this year has been pretty epic, it's fair to say, from cracking PlayStation exclusives to some major surprises, and we're here to round up the best of the best in one single video. Now today's list has been formed by a rigorous voting system from the staff here at Push Square, which allotted points to certain titles to make up the list of 10 games that you're about to see today. So strap in as we break down the top 10 games of 2022. Modern Warfare 2 kicks off our list with a bang, and what a return to form it has been. Call of Duty has sort of been fumbling its way through releases with Cold War and Vanguard, but there was no doubt that Modern Warfare 2 was going to deliver, and deliver it did. Reinstating the boots on the ground gameplay with stellar graphics, an eclectic bunch of unique weapons, and some fantastic PlayStation haptics, Modern Warfare 2 had me grinding those gold camos like I was 13 all over again. Now some of the maps could use some work, but the base gameplay experience will have you euphoric as you master control over your favourite loadouts. And that's without mentioning the brilliant cinematic campaign which continues on this rebooted take on Task Force 141. A controversial entry for sure, but there is no denying that The Last of Us Part 1 makes one of the best experiences available on PlayStation even better with the power of PS5. I genuinely think The Last of Us Part 1 is one of the best looking games on the console at the moment, with some incredible detail in the environments and character models that just make the entire experience reach a new level of immersion. The gameplay changes may not have been quite as revolutionary as we were hoping for, but it did smooth out the often clunky PS3 era gameplay for something far more dynamic without abandoning the overall feel of the original game. Joel still controls like a monstrous brute, but you really feel each gunshot and punch as they land. And on a personal note, my playthrough of the remake was my 8th playthrough of this game, and as someone that is as experienced with the game on PS3 and PS4, it just breathed new life into this PlayStation classic. Arriving on PlayStation consoles a little while after it solidified itself as a hit indie game, Tunic, which was largely created by one person, defied all odds to become one of 2022's best reviewed games. And it's easy to see why. Tunic is all about capturing that old school feeling of Zelda-likes with simple yet surprisingly challenging combat, a picturesque map to explore, and all kinds of items to unlock. But where Tunic stands apart is with its focus on language, as you gradually peel back the layers of its runic mysteries. As you steadily uncover its tale through its collectible pages, which act as a makeshift manual, you may not be able to read its runes on sight, but it will give you the clues that you need to make everything click. Together with its combat and exploration, Tunic encapsulates cozy old school top-downs with a killer art style to boot. The Sonic fans out there really needed a win in 2022. The series has been in a bit of a rough patch for quite some time, and Sega really needed to mix things up. Good thing Sonic Frontiers stepped in then, which, with all of its issues, is undeniably the best 3D Sonic game in years. Now, we aren't saying the game's perfect, it certainly has its rough edges, but the foundations are solid, and it's never felt quite so good to let Sonic run. The floating rails certainly could have been better designed, but the controls are tight and responsive, and as you explore its different areas, the movesets and modes of traversal expand, making this a meaningful step forward for the franchise. And when you wanted to go fast in 2022, there wasn't really a better place to do it than in Sonic Frontiers. When you die, you age. That was the simple mechanical hook to this kung fu beat 'em up, which was as tight-knit an experience as you were gonna get in 2022. With a simple aging system and some brutal combat mechanics, Seafood turned its handful of levels into an excuse for perfection as you streamlined run after run. It was all about trying to make it as close to the end at as young an age as you could possibly muster. Outside of the game's aesthetic, its minimalistic score, its subtle storytelling and immensely fun boss fights, the thing that will stick out to you is just how fun this whole thing is to play. You'll struggle to find a game that feels quite as smooth as Sifu, which made its fluid combat all the better. For a game that seemed relatively small compared to some other games in 2022, this one left a mark in terrific fashion. 2022 was a solid year for indie games, and Cult of the Lamb certainly stood out. While yes, we've seen plenty of roguelites over the last few years, none of them quite engrossed us like Cult of the Lamb, which came with its own unique take on the formula with an ingenious gameplay cycle. Split in two halves, Cult of the Lamb is part dungeon crawler and part base builder, where the characters and loot you acquire from your runs via fast-paced action need to be managed and kept happy back at base. Progressing through the dungeons pushes the story on, and managing your base efficiently allows you to get stronger bit by bit. The way that these two halves blend make Cult of the Lamb a snappy gameplay experience without a dull moment to it, and we couldn't get enough of it in 2022. Originally a PSP game from 2010, the Push Square staff just wouldn't shut up about Trials from Zero in 2022 when it finally localized outside of Japan. The PS4 remaster of this classic JRPG is back in typical Falcom fashion, with its strange slang and its charming cast of characters and engrossing world building. The city-state of Crossbell is your playground across this 50-hour adventure, and as part of the newly formed special support section, you'll experience a twisting and turning plot that may take a little to get started, but once it gets going, you'll have a story that pays off massively with a gripping finale. And with the Trials of Azure sequel due out in 2023, there wasn't really a better time to delve into this game. It is one of the best realised titles within Falcom's catalogue, and JRPG fans simply should not miss out on one of the defining examples of the genre. It's almost difficult to comprehend that Horizon Forbidden West came out at the start of 2022. This absolute behemoth of a game dialed its graphics, mechanics and storyline up to 11 to make a far improved game over its predecessor. In a sort of love it or hate it move, the game becomes unapologetically sci-fi, or about as unapologetically as a game that is littered with robot dinosaurs can. The new densely detailed world of the Forbidden West makes for a setting that feels far better realised than what came before, and with the peppering of familiar locales, you're left wanting to uncover each and every secret that it's home to. And with improved character performances and writing, Horizon Forbidden West becomes an adventure worth delving into. Elden Ring is a colossal achievement of a game, a title that takes what we all loved about the Soulsborne formula and applies it to a massively open-ended world, without a set route to go down and just the occasional boss fight funnel to usher you into a new area. It was the definition of a world to get lost in. The lands between enchanted us here at Push Square with unforgettable environments and encounters that felt natural. The new open world formula allowed Elden Ring to become a game with an evolving narrative, and not the one that you could find in its deep lore, but one that was specific to you as you encountered foreboding bosses and uncovered beautiful hidden areas and in completely different orders from your friends. You may have golden pathed it straight to the main bosses, or you may have spent dozens of hours in its opening areas, and depending on how you approach the game's enormity of content, impacted your experience with the game. Elden Ring isn't just one of the best games of 2022, but one of the best games we've played in years. But of course, something had to come out on top, and as magnificent as Elden Ring was, God of War Ragnarök managed to come out victorious for us. This hotly anticipated sequel to its 2018 predecessor somehow managed to blow past every one of the expectations we had for it. With a far more epic scale, God of War Ragnarök manages a fine balance between its bombastic action sequences and its smaller, more intimate character moments. That resulted in a game that felt every bit as awesome as it did emotional, in a way that every axe swing, punch or betrayal tugged at your heartstrings. For any other game, the boss fights and mechanical improvements in Ragnarok would have been enough, but being as invested as we were made for an experience that was unforgettable. An experience that left you wanting to start it all over again. And if not for anything else, Ragnarok and the 2018 game turned the one-note Kratos into a nuanced father figure who will undoubtedly go down in history as one of the best video game characters ever. Wow, what a year it has been, and what a truly epic collection of games that have made it up. Of course, this list was accumulated by the staff here at Push Square, but let us know your own personal top 10 down in the comments. It's been a fantastic time to be a gamer, and 2023 promises to be even more. So as we usher in the new year in celebration of the year we've just had, remember to subscribe to us here on Push Square if you'd like to continue celebrating PlayStation gaming in the years to come. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.